You know who we are.
That's it.
Okay, so preparing for a scene. So let's say you're going to have a full session with a pro fantasy diaper facilitator, or you met somebody who wants to make your dreams come true organically, and it's going to be fun.
Both views, top and bottom.
Yeah. So so this is not a like how to communicate your fantasy or how to organize your thoughts. I do have a video for that, which I'm going to link to right now. And it comes with slides and stuff. So please look at that on how to like organize and communicate what you want out of a session. This is just like before you get to the place and what you should do at the place to make it great for both parties.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be surprised because when we're making our subjects that you kind of almost feel ridiculous that you have to mention some of these because they should be basic instinct or common sense. But really, you read horror stories on FetLife or other places of people's experiences, which is a good guideline that this needs to be talked about.
Yeah. So I guess before you get there, like on the day of or beforehand, number one is hygiene.
Right.
Like take a shower.
Yeah, you only get one chance to make a first impression, and you want to put your best foot forward. Shower, brush your teeth, maybe a sensible amount of cologne. I'm saying that because I overdose on cologne, and diaperperv always teases me about it.
It hurts my nose sometimes. Oh, your mom said something about it. Like,
yeah. But hygiene is important. You don't want to show up, looking like, you slept in your clothes or you didn't take a shower, wash your hair. You want to,
And these things have happened, and that's why we're talking about it.
Right.
Which I feel like it shouldn't happen because you should be kind of aware of like your appearance and hygiene and cleanliness and stuff.
Especially if the goal is like you're building this relationship and maybe this person's going to be your mistress. Maybe you're going to session this time and then next month you're going to session again or whatever the schedule is. You want to step out on the right foot. The first impression is key. Mm-hmm. And it just sounds ridiculous, but take hygiene seriously. Put on some deodorant, put on some powder, maybe get a fresh haircut. Whatever you think you need to do, go ahead and do it. Spare no expense.
Yeah. And number two, arriving on time.
Right.
Like, to me, respecting someone's time is so important, not just in a session, but in any aspect of life. Right. Like in meeting someone for dinner, like don't make them wait around for like a long time if you're like out or whatever. Or
right, arriving on time is key to anywhere. Like if you're early, you're on time. If you're late, you're screwed. But the thing is you've got to respect someone else's schedule. You don't know what they might have scheduled afterwards, and if you've paid for a session, you kind of want to make every minute count because they're probably not going to adjust the 15 minutes that you might have been late. So leave early. I'm not saying you creep out somebody's location for a half hour or get there early because it could be somebody else there and you've got to take that account. But you could be in the area getting a coffee or something like that. Account for traffic. Know the route that you're going to go. Know your directions. If you know that there's road work going on or construction, maybe circumvent that area and choose a route that's going to bring you to where you got to go on time.
Those are really good points. Like, I never even thought of that because it's just stuff I think about already anyways. Right. But you're right. People might need some reminders on how to get somewhere appropriately.
Yeah. I mean, if you're, most people have a smartphone. You can input the address that you're going and listen to it. And it's hand-free directions. But it doesn't hurt to memorize that route, look at it so you're familiar with where you're going to go.
Yeah.
Because sometimes there could be a tricky turn or construction or traffic or there's
Yeah.
something like that that's going to influence the speed and direction you want to go, just prepare for that. There's no excuses, when you're coming to your session and then you're 15 minutes late, because most respectable tops aren't going to account for that 15 minutes at the end of the session that you should have been sessioning. You're supposed to be already there. They might have another client coming. They might have
Other plans.
Yeah, other
Like
plans.
life.
Right.
Pick up their kids. Anything. So number 3 is just general thoughtfulness. And so I've had a lot of really cool, thoughtful people. Like if I'm going to their hotel, they'll ask, what do you like to drink? Are there any snacks you like? And then have those things for me. And I've even had people show up to my house with snacks that I may like.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. I read it on the website. This really nice blog that detailed about what diaperperv just said. Snacks, drinks. Maybe they're coming to you, to your part of the world or the United States or something like that. Maybe there's a delicacy. Maybe there's a cool sandwich. It just kind of shows that you're thinking about somebody else and not just yourself, and you're being a human being. You have a personality. You're accounting them for their comfort, for their happiness, and it's really cool to be thoughtful. I'm not saying that you have to go out and get a diamond necklace, but a couple different drinks or some snacks are probably gonna pay off to you in the end by someone taking their time to kind of really deliver what you want to experience.
Yeah, exactly. Even though you are possibly paying for their time. And if you're not, and you're just going to see a new play partner, you should definitely be thoughtful.
Yeah, you're going to somebody's house, don't arrive empty-handed.
This is a little different from thoughtfulness. Preparedness is if you know you're looking for a certain type of scene, you already talked about what you're looking for and agreed upon it. And there's specific things that you like or need for the scene, you should bring them.
Yeah. I think it's really picky that somebody might want a specific type of diaper, but if you know that this diaper fits you, because we all have different body sizes and different diapers are cut different ways, maybe bring that along. Or if someone's gone out of their way to provide that for you, that you should kind of compensate them for that, because they're not cheap.
Yeah. And also other things that go with the scene, if you know you like there's rope involved or Segufix, and you have allergies, bring your own stuff. Bring the rope that you like or prefer or know that you won't get a rash from, and everything else.
Yeah. Or a straight jacket. If you got a cool straight jacket and you want to show it off, that's the time. If you got a favorite toy, if you're an ABDL and you got a blanket that you like, or a pillow or a stuffy, those are things that you want to bring along, because that goes into being prepared.
Right. And even if you have your own magic wand that's corded and is going to be a lot stronger than both of these combined, you should bring it if you can.
There you go.
And then also parking. Parking, it can be an issue.
Yeah. I think that you communicate to wherever you're going. Now in Las Vegas, a lot of the hotels and casinos, it's paid for parking, and you kind of got to think ahead of where you're going. If you're going to somebody's house, they might want you to park somewhere. Now, I can speak from experience of playing with a person where I used to live in Virginia, and her car got towed. And at the end of the night, she's going home, her car's gone. I just didn't kick her out. I went around and did the research to find out where her car was, but that could have been avoided if I would have,
told them
thought about it,
Yeah.
And it was my mistake, but I helped her fix it, and I just didn't abandon her. But those are things to think about that might be overlooked, that you think might not mean anything, and they turn out to be something big.
Oh yeah, as a host person, if they're coming to my house, I tell them exactly where to park so it looks good and won't disrupt anything and won't be an issue.
Yeah, and most people want you to kind of dress vanilla to the door. They don't want to bring undue attention in somebody's neighborhood or
even
wherever.
hotel room, because a lot of people are here at a hotel for a convention, and they don't want someone looking too crazy going
Right.
to their
Yeah.
door.
So now we're right before the scene.
Yeah.
And this is kind of goes into preparedness of where you're negotiating, where you're writing somebody, but you want to communicate any risks,
Yeah.
allergies you might have. It might be a dog allergy or a cat allergy or anything like that, especially, injuries and limitations. Maybe you can't kneel, or maybe you can't sit, or maybe your lower back.
You
just
can't be
kinda-
in different positions.
Yeah.
You can't be in this type of bondage too long.
Right, because nothing is going to end a scene quicker than somebody in distress. Cramps happen, things like that. You might want some safety scissors nearby, which goes with kind of risk assessment, but common sense.
Right.
Don't hold back on any secrets, and don't try anything that's outside of your limitation. It's your responsibility to share it with your play partner in full disclosure.
Yeah. And for myself as an ex-pro facilitator, I like to go over the scenario again, the one that they emailed me. I'll just read through it again and then go through anything that might need clarification.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, and then again, it's in that thing about describing your fantasy. I like to ask how they want to feel.
That's a good one, because there's a fine line between humiliation and it's a gray area. It can be triggering, and I really don't like to use that word because it just sounds like the most popular word to use, but it can trigger bad memories. Maybe you got teased in high school and not in a good way, and you don't like certain words. That's the time to disclose that. Like, I like this, but I don't like that. And don't be afraid to use, the red, green, and yellow.
Yeah.
It sounds corny, but it is good communication.
Yeah, it is.
You know?
Yeah, and it's your experience and your time that you're sharing with someone.
I also think that feedback is important. Of, hey, I really liked when you did this, because everybody likes positive feedback. Or, hey, I really love this and you surprised me with that. The feedback doesn't always have to be negative. It can be positive as well.
Yes.
I like when you did this. Like, give me more of that.
Right. Yeah.
So, but yeah, and then you've only got one chance to make a first impression, and safe, sane, and consensual.
Yeah, and that also means, like, don't be super wasted.
Be responsible with drugs and alcohol. I mean, nobody should be playing like super hammered unless it's an intoxication fetish, and even then, you still got to be careful. But you can't show up to somebody's house hammered and expect to really have a great time.
And that's happened where I went to his house and he was like super high and he hasn't slept.
Wow.
And maybe that's his normal like modus operandi, but I felt not comfortable with it because
I can see that. I mean, I understand that everybody gets nervous and maybe you're shy and maybe you need a drink to just kind of like relax, but don't overdo it, because it's not really sexy when you're heaving into the toilet or you can't stand up or something. That's going too far.
Ugh, no, that is like the most unsexiest thing, I think.
Exactly.
Is someone who's like effed up. and then it makes it not safe, sane, and consensual.
Right.
But yeah, first impressions are important. Just be respectful. I think people don't understand what respect really means a lot of times.
Use your common sense and temper expectations. Like, you can't put undue expectations on somebody, but you can think of your own expectations and try to live up to them. Like, if you think, hey, I'm going to go to somebody's house, how would I want to act? And then put yourself in reversal, if that makes sense. Like, there's horror stories like on FetLife that you see that people write about, like, oh, I can't believe that this person showed up at my house in a messy diaper, or like, already before the scene started, or they're dressed head to toe ABDL in their neighborhood.
That's horrifying. I would be really upset if that happened.
Right, and there's a time and a place for that. I don't think it's a time and a place to knock on somebody's door like that. I think if you're going to show up in a messy diaper, maybe that happens during the scene if it's negotiated or it's expected, or even if it's a wink surprise, whatever. But I don't think you knock on somebody's door like that. And,
no.
And I read these things on FetLife, and I'll see somebody write about their experiences, and while I can't point out to a specific one, sometimes it seems, and I'm probably going to stereotype here, but it seems like male submissives sometimes really step out of bounds in, you know, privacy issues or showing up or things like that. And
I've been so lucky
yeah,
that none of this stuff has happened to me. So I'm like, where are you hearing these stories? Where are you seeing these stories? Because honestly, of the hundreds of people, I have not had these things.
Yeah, it's just,
I've been so grateful. I think because if they don't email me with respect, like if I could tell they're going to treat me like trash, I am not dealing with them. I don't even reply. It goes straight to the trash.
Yeah, that's a good policy.
Yeah, like if they can't even conduct a proper email telling me, you know, what they would like in a respectful manner.
Right, or it's just fat trash. Like, what are you going to do to me?
That's not worth my time.
Yeah, you're like, delete, because you already know that 9 times out of 10 that person's going to flake out because you're writing to them words that they want to read.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not going to go further than that.
Yeah, I mean, they should give me a deposit first before I even read anything.
But I'll try to, if I see some horror stories, I will try to save the links and I'll specifically show you. But I just read them in passing, or somebody will write an experience and you think it's common sense, but these things really happen. Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking about it.
But they don't happen to me. So when we're talking about it, I'm like, I don't know what to say.
Maybe people, if they've had a horror story, can write it down in the comments or something like that, because I'd like to read actual proof, and maybe we can address it in a later video.
I want to hear horror stories.
Yeah. Because
I don't really have a ton of horror stories.
That would be pretty interesting. Yeah, so if you've had a horror story and you're either a dom or a submissive, man, write it in the comments.